This means being live streamed.
Says it's preparing.
So it's going to be on your YouTube.
I think so, and then I'll add you as a collaborator. All right, here we are. I see you.
Awesome.
Yes, ma'am. We're live. Okay, we're live. We don't know what we're doing. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm
Hi.
trying to set us up the view here so that it's multi-speaker. Okay, hold on. I've got
Hi,
to.
YouTube world.
I have to minimize that.
Hi.
How do I mute that? Oh, God. Some people shouldn't be allowed to do all these things. Here we go. Anyways, we are live. We are going to focus on the Zoom instead of like the YouTube one because it's getting too complicated. Everyone, welcome. We are so excited to be here. I am Tara Kindon, and this is Dominique Jaramillo.
Hi.
And we are going to be talking about some really exciting work that we've been putting together to create an incredible workshop. Dominique, maybe you want to introduce yourself because we're coming in from my channel, so people generally, and I'll introduce as well. I'm hoping my internet, I can see it glitching out a bit, so
Well, you're not freezing yet.
I'm not. Okay, I
Nope.
might just flip it over anyway, so hold on.
Okay. Oh, I see. Yes. All right. So we have this is awesome. So I see you and we're on speaker view. Like so whoever speaks is, in
I know
view.
I
So they're
can't
not
seem
side
to.
by
I've
side.
set it up for multi-speaker, but I guess maybe that's just
Do gallery view.
gallery.
Yeah.
Is that better? Yeah? Did that work?
Let's see. Let's see, because this is cool.
I love that we're gonna figure this out live, and people are gonna be like, "What in the hell are these two
Yeah,
doing?"
yeah. Who are these two?
Did it work?
Um, I don't know where you are now.
Anyway, whatever. Let's just
Yeah.
get into it because I actually
Yeah.
I can see it as us being. Yeah, that's better. Okay, good call. Here we go. So, everyone, let's try this again. Sorry if you're. Thank you
Take
for being
two.
patient with us as we're trying to figure out WTF we're doing. So, anyways, Dominique and I are very passionate people who love astrology. We love human design. We are moving in a direction, a newer direction, as my focus is changing into the somatic lens, looking at how, I've got a ton of different modalities in Bach flowers and tuning forks and all kinds of energy practices. I taught yoga for over 10 years in a yoga studio. But the one thing that was always missing, even with all these separate pieces, was being able to understand how the energy wants to move in the body, utilizing the powers of the astrology, the human design, the cosmic piece, the body piece, the mechanics piece, the somatic piece, like
All
where
the
are all these
things.
things being stored, right? So
Yeah.
we've kind of come up with this really great workshop, and I'm going to give Dominique the floor just to introduce herself, and then she can introduce the workshop as well, and we'll go from there. So go ahead, Dom. Tell people who you are, what you're all about, all the fun things.
Okay. Hi everyone. Thanks, Tara. Yeah, I'm Dominique Jaramillo. I'm a professional astrologer. I have been studying and practicing astrology for over 20 years now. And for about 16 and a half of those years, I've been a wife, been a mom for the last 15 years. And so my work has been a lot about family relationships, cultivating conscious parenting with astrology. I have kind of made my life's work out of like my personal growth journey and then nurturing those most important relationships I'm having, right? And so that's been the crux of my work, and but ultimately the personal growth work is number 1. My individual journey as a human, a wife and mother, and my own exploration and transformation. What's really fascinating is astrology has been the main tool. I love all the things, tarot, astrology. You've taught me human design. Astrology's been the core for me, that one tool that's been a real compass for my work. And of late, the work I've been getting into with you is I'm at this place where I'm really learning how to integrate this wisdom more and more in my life and in my body that has been next level transformational for me. And that's where our work has come together. Is I'm air, I'm Aquarius, all the mental stuff and connecting the dots and all the wisdom, which is to me awakening. Awareness is awakening, and that first start, but then getting into like where it lives in our field, where it lives in our body, that's next level healing for me. And I think I'm at a place in my life where I'm trying to integrate all my wisdom in a way that I can really start to share it in a new way to help women, mostly women is what I work with as well, get to that next step in their lives, in their evolutionary journey, while also still being all the things to all the people that they care about, their lives, their partners, their children, their families, and their ambitions in life, their career paths or their, passionate goals beyond the family. So that's a little bit about me, and I think where our work has started to come together that I feel so passionately about, for sure. So hopefully that sums it up for you.
And I know we were going to say, oh, let's talk right about the workshop or what we're doing this week, but I think one of the cool things that we can share is that we met, 7 years ago. I had hired Dom for an astrology reading, and then we kind of grew into the human design because she was really curious about that. So it's like we came together under the astrology umbrella, and it really, the astrology for me felt like I've used astrology for years, but not to the same level or understanding. So learning more deeply with you, and all the self-study and us being able to talk about things, having that person, it felt like, and we jokingly, I apparently say all the things all
All the
the
time.
time. She was like, I think we should call this little show when we come together all the things. So I love that because it is a nice place to put all of the things, and it is really important, especially now, that you have someone or some place that you can go and feel as though you can have these conversations that are a little bit bigger without feeling any sense of judgment or not being safe. And that is one of the things that my mission in life is, to create a safe space every place that I am, on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook, all the places where all the things that you could kind of come in and be like, I can let down my guard a little bit here, especially for women who are over capable, over qualified. They're very intuitive. They're doing everything for everyone else, and they do not have a place to take a deep breath and to soften and to be met where
Yeah.
they're at, instead of them needing to continue to perform or to have to show up
Yeah.
in a certain way, which is exhausting. It's absolutely
Yeah.
exhausting.
It is. And
Yeah.
I've realized that this relationship with you over the years and others I have like it, and small groups I've done with my Conscious Parenting with Moms group, has been life saving for me. It has been such like touchstones in my life through all the things happening in the world, all the things that happen in our families, and the personal evolutions we're going through as individuals, so these have been lifelines for me. And of course, as an Aquarius, I'm like, I want to serve more people, right? I want to help
Yeah.
more women. And so I just coming together thinking, hey, we should share. We have such great talks about all the things all the time, and this is such great wisdom at the end of these conversations. We're like, we should be doing this live because this could serve so many more people just by sharing our unique conversations about all the things.
And we are very entertaining. Let me just say that. Like, we are a good time. Anybody who wants to hang out with us, you're more than welcome. We are a good time. So, on the topic of a good time, the whole reason we're fooling around with lives, and this is like a prime example of if you're ready to do something different in your life and
Yeah.
you don't know how to do it and you're nervous about the process and then you get scared or taken out because of glitchy techie stuff. Like we just fumbled our way through starting this and I was like, whatever, you know, you have to start somewhere, and this is an
Yeah.
example of how we're just going to go for it. And this
Yeah.
speaks so directly to Saturn and Aries. So,
Yeah, to the astrology,
right.
absolutely. I heard somebody once say something like it's time to lean into your cringe a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like I'm
we
gonna look
are
stupid. I don't know what I'm talking. You know what I mean? Those I don't know
definitely.
this. If you want a different result, you have to do something different. So, and it's like Aries is very much about spontaneity and like just giving it a freaking go, see what happens. And that's this energy that we're moving into. And Neptune's already there, and Saturn arrives on
And so
Friday.
before we even go down this path, I just want to mention that,
Rabbit hole.
Dominique and I are doing an incredible workshop on Friday. Today is Tuesday. It
Tuesday.
is the 10th. So on Friday, which is the 13th, we're going to be doing a full workshop on the astrology of Saturn and Aries
Mhm.
and the bioenergetic somatics, which is the biofield, which is like all the ways that your energy want to meet you in Saturn and Aries and what may be preventing you from fully being able to embrace and embody that. So we will be doing a live tuning with the
Mhm.
tuning forks in that class, which I will be tuning into the collective to do. And then Dominique will be speaking to the authority and the
Yeah.
Saturn. And if you want to just kind of like mention a little bit about that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So I've been doing a lot of work around the father wound, the archetype of the father wound for a while, actually, most recently, the last few years since I lost my father. But what that's translated into is this healing of the authority archetype in our lives, and especially with women, this idea of feeling safe to be seen and heard and step out into the world. And so right now, it's Saturn moving out of Pisces, where a lot of the that work has been sort of like I'm changing, things are changing and evolving in me spiritually and energetically and emotionally. Now we're moving into Saturn and Aries, and this is the initiation point for the next 3 years of work of finding that personal authority, standing in that, building that new sense of self. And so in the workshop, I'm going to talk about Saturn and Aries and sort of the initiation of the work for the next 3 years. And I'll walk through the houses. So, oh, nice. Yeah, good
Oopsie,
call.
I forgot to hit that too. It's like, ah, shit.
Good
Yeah,
job.
sorry about that.
That's awesome. And that's awesome. Okay, so yeah, so what I'll be doing is I'll be walking us through Saturn through the houses. So when you come into the workshop, even if you don't know astrology, like let us know when you sign up. I'll get you, where Saturn's happening for you. But I'm going to talk about sort of the energy of where this new initiation is going to be happening for you specifically in your astrology. So what house it falls in is where this initiatory energy is happening. For me personally, this is 10th house action. So, hello, here I am, world.
Here you are.
Trying
And
to
mine is the
initiate
seventh.
this.
So that's my partnerships and collaborations, right?
Yeah.
And this
So,
is like, yeah, I think, it's going to be very exciting. We don't want to give you too much juicy stuff because you can watch the podcast episode. We'll link that below of when
yes.
we did with a free live tuning so you
Yes.
can get an idea of what and where we'll be going with this. So that is that. And we don't want to oversell, like come if you feel inclined. We're going to keep working
Yeah.
on this because we know it's
Yeah.
important.
And not to forget either, like, yes, we're a different time zone. Let's just say I'm in California. She's all the way in Newfoundland, Canada.
Yeah.
So we are like, a
Four and a half
distance. So
hours
yeah,
difference in
so this
time.
is going to be at 9:30 in the morning Pacific Standard Time. But if that doesn't work for you, there'll be a replay if you want this information and the tuning. But also, we're just initiating this work. This is just the beginning. And Tara and I are committed to this work. Saturn is going to be here for the next 3 years. And we're in this 1 year. We're really doing all this initiatory, seeding and starting of new things. And so so it's an experiment, but we are committed to this work and we will have them again. We will be moving through this. So if you're down, but maybe this one doesn't work for you, like let us know
Yes,
because
totally.
we are
In the
going to keep
comments, come
doing
on
it in the
in.
comments. Yeah.
Let us know what you think about all the things. And, should this be a new podcast? I don't know. Maybe it should be. But just a really nice place where you can, come grab your coffee, sit down, listen to like some of the
Yeah.
latest happenings, and be with us
And
as we're
I just like to
also.
say too that the energies of the times are really intense. And if you're speaking to a lot of the nervous system work, right? So there's a lot of energies. I've realized this too. There's a lot of Earth in the chart other than Uranus right now in Taurus, which is shaking things up. So grounding and being in our bodies and taking care of ourselves is going to be so important. And finding communities and places where you can do that to settle and regulate your nervous system because we've been taking walks,
Yeah.
I'm on the phone and I'm walking because I need to be in my body because there's so much happening in the world. And I've noticed with clients and friends I've been talking to, everybody is like stressed. Everybody's energy vibes are up here. Their nervous systems are on high alert. And I think that's another beauty of the work that you do and what we're doing coming together is to settle, breathe,
And let's
calm.
actually talk about that. So, talk about your experience with biofield
Mhm.
tuning. And for people who are unfamiliar with the work, this is part of the whole process that I've put together to with the bioenergetic somatics to help people come back into not only come back into their bodies but also be able to kind of clean up or reintegrate some of the energy that leaves the body in different times. So for example, when you have a traumatic experience in your life, one that you're aware of and even some that you are not aware of, they are still lingering out in your field. And what biofield tuning does is it magnetizes those things with the tuning forks and just, it kind of hauls them back in. So it just magnetically grabs them and just helps them come back in and integrate into whatever center is needing the most attention. And that is all also very intuitive work and an almost psychic work as you're
Yeah.
reading the field, if you will. And the beauty of that is there are things that you don't even realize or remember happening, but they are still affecting the way your energy engages with other people. And so bringing that back into your body, even after a session, when a session is done, you look different because you have been almost re energized with your own vitality. And it's such a gift to be able to experience
Mhm.
that, but also to recognize how the systems work. It's one thing to reintegrate, but it's also another thing to recognize. This is something to pay attention to next time you go for a massage or a therapy class, therapy session, or any kind of healing modality. Things get stirred up. That is what happens. But when things get stirred up, if you don't feel safe enough to release, it still stays in the body and goes somewhere. And a lot of women have this disassociation when something happens traumatically. They leave their bodies because they don't feel safe enough to process it. And that goes somewhere,
Yeah.
which is why when we're doing our workshop, we're going to talk specifically about grief in the lungs, liver stagnation,
Mhm.
gallbladder will be part of the conversation, and stomach and intestines because it all gets stuck in there. So if you're constipated or things like this, that just means you may not be moving or releasing the
Mhm.
things that have been stirred up because the right side of our body is processing, the left side is releasing, which I'll be talking more in depth on. So your experience, explain your experience because you're a live human who had the work done. And I will say she had this work done remotely, not even in person. We've actually been online dating for like 7 years. We've never actually met in person, which is kind of wild, really,
Yeah.
when you think about it. So
Yeah, but we will. We will very soon. Um, yeah, this work has been really profound. Like I was saying, I've been on this journey of personal growth for my whole life. I've always been a seeker, and um, there's so many wisdoms and insights that have come in, and I know that I have healed and shifted generational stuff in my life and trauma, but this recent work with having lost my father really triggered this sort of authority piece and feeling safe enough and strong enough to step into um, more of an outward, I guess, position in the world where a lot of women I think do feel afraid. Like, I can't focus all on me because all these other people and things are depending on me, and I don't want to lose that security. I don't want to rock that beautiful boat and that beautiful thing I've created and worked so hard. If I go try and do this thing, then maybe I'm going to mess something up or lose something that I worked so hard to create. And if you've worked so hard to create something that was because of an imprint you had when you were young, that you want to create, you created that safety. Now we're at this place where it's like, can I break out of that box and risk
Well,
that
and
without
on
losing
that,
myself?
this is
Mhm.
actually like over responsibility, which is something that
Yes.
I've been really working on, is this recognition that like people are not, women are not burned out. They're actually over responsible and they've been carrying too many bags because a lot of them became responsible very early on in life because of it, whatever happened in their family, where they were the ones who had to step it up in a way which was too early to be that responsible. But once you become a very responsible individual, it is hard. Like, you become very hyper vigilant. You become like, you've got to control your environment to know what's going on, and that creates this hypervigilance. And when you're constantly in a hypervigilant state, it is very hard to come down off that and to relax and to trust that the people around you aren't going to frig it all up and you're going to have to come on in and fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's this hypervigilance of not just being responsible for your environment, but to manage yourself within an environment that maybe didn't feel safe unconsciously or consciously. So you managed to take care of yourself and protect
And everyone
yourself
else.
and everyone else, right? So, but as a child, it was like that's the authority imprint, is like, I got to take care of me, and if
Because
no
no
one
one
else
else
is,
will.
and becoming really good at that, and then stepping into these roles of like, I can manage all the things, I'm a manifesting
And
generator,
strong and
so I'm
strong
strong, I'm
and
capable, I can do
capable.
all the things. And my personal journey has always been like, I don't want to lose myself along the way, because at the end of the day I have me. And I've had such a beautiful journey of that, and doing that in my marriage, which astrology has really helped me nurture and cultivate a beautiful partnership that's been lasting. And same thing with my son, right? And raising him and still trying to keep time for myself. So when I got to the stage, my son's a little older, I'm at this season where I have more freedom to step into myself. I got really like scared. I was like, oh shit, it's all, what
Oh,
am I, right? And ironically, or timely, divine timely, broke my ankle, lost my father. It was like everything got shifted upside down. I'm getting chills. And that was the beginning of a huge shift.
high low
Yep.
erection.
That was the beginning of a major shift of stepping into my true sense of personal authority. That wasn't about leaving anything behind or choosing something over something else, but just making real space for myself. And what I realized in the work with you is that it brought up things throughout my life and my relationships with lineage of grandmothers and my father's side, that I was like, oh my gosh, I have healed way more than I thought, and I'm given permission now to step into way more than I thought I was worthy of, maybe at some point, or capable of even. And then to take those baby steps and realize that I actually am not going to lose anything. I'm only going to make everything I have, every relationship I have, that much richer, that much
Mm.
more meaningful. It's empowered me to just take a risk, start sharing my lived wisdom in a way that hopefully can serve others. And that is my life path work, and I'm realizing that more and more through my healing work. And I think that biofield tuning is something that just sort of, we're so into frequency. Aquarius energy, it's all about frequency. It vibrated me free and liberated me
Broke
from things
something
that
open. Is like
open.
it feels like it
Yeah.
broke something open because honestly, she had a session, and then the next day she launched a podcast or
I was doing
what?
I was doing lives on TikTok. I was like, or not lives, but I was doing videos on TikTok, which
It's
I
like
had never done before.
right, and it was like, who is this person?
Who
Because
is
I've
this?
known her for like so long, and she was always like afraid to do these things. I'm like, okay, geez, that's how
I'm a
quick it
Cancer
is. I'm gonna
rising. I'm
go
like,
and tune
okay.
myself.
I like to feel safe in my little groups, and my people I'm comfortable with. I'm a Cancer rising, and that's like, I like to create safe spaces. And now it's like Saturn's in Aries. It's time to break the
It's go
mold
time.
and go time. Take some risks, get out of those safe spaces, and take a chance on sharing my experiences and my lived wisdom in a way that I hope can empower other women. And I think that's the passion we have, that we've come together because we've lived that, we've supported each other through different things, and we know there's a lot of other women right now feeling similarly. So
100%. Now, let's talk about this because we've talked a little bit about Saturn in Aries.
mhm,
I know our workshop is in the Saturn in Aries, reclaiming your
initiation.
authority from the
Yeah.
inside out. I have come to this realization that in order for that to happen, and this is something that's really important, a
Mhm.
lot of people are talking about, the moving forward, the forward action, taking on the world. But again, we still have to tidy up or complete the Saturn in Pisces piece, which is why, if you're kind of waking up at like 4 o'clock in the morning right now, this is grief. This is lungs. This is, maybe stored grief. This
Mhm.
can be, uh, this almost the feeling I'm understanding from clients, a lot of clients saying, yeah, I just feel so resentful, like relationships are ending. I feel a certain way about that. And there's a recognition here of like, okay, yeah, it's coming up as resentment, but what it actually is a little bit of grief because as Saturn is moving into Aries, this final stretch here is where when we're looking at human design and where the sun is, it's in the gate called the catalyst. This is about boundaries. This is about liver. This is about, unprocessed anger. Unprocessed anger can easily turn into grief, which feels like resentment or bitterness. And I want to address it because I think this is an important piece of recognition that yes, we are moving and launching forward, but on the opposite side to Aries is Libra, and that's all about balance and relationships and equality and justice.
Yep.
And you can't have one without the other. So we're
No.
looking at, yes, we're catalyzing all this exciting change, and that is
Mhm.
going to be amazing, but you cannot launch forward without nourishing and nurturing the pieces of you that are still tender and that need your quiet attention to process the grief of, yes, maybe boundaries get set and you've lost a relationship. So,
Yeah.
what can that look like? Is
Yeah, because
this
you're
work?
right. Like, we in astrology, duality, we have sets of polarities. We don't have just 12 signs. We have 6 sets of polarities. And when you're working with Saturn and Aries, you cannot leave out Libra. And Libra is the relationships. And also, whenever we grow and evolve, we end up, the only way to really know that you've grown and evolved is to test that in relationship, is to be
Mm,
tested again in relationship.
yeah, like
And
the
so
reflection, right? The
the
mirroring.
reflection piece, yeah. And so everywhere that, the Saturn in Aries action is happening, there's something in response on the other side of that in Libra in your relationships that's either going to support it or challenge it. And there can be there's work to be had here to find a new balance. If I'm stepping out in my work in a new way, my family, right, which is that fourth house Libra, there's some adjustments that are going to be made that might be a little uncomfortable if my time is being pulled away from the what is usually expected or seen from me. That everyone has a little adjusting to me. Everybody has a little bit of growth. And then where's that happening for them? Right? Is it happening for them in a way that, like in relationships, where, oh, okay, there's some changes here. So you can't just look at the one place it is happening, but the integration piece is the other side. Who and what, area of life is maybe challenging that in a way that
And
is
let's
going to
talk
be
about
for your benefit
boundaries.
and
Because
boundaries.
with boundaries with this is that, you're going to hear a lot of people getting rid of things, removing things, setting a hard, fast boundary, like a
Oh,
no to this anymore. And that is awesome. But with every action, there is a reaction. And not that we're always going to be looking at, well, how's this going to impact somebody else? Because it's technically not your responsibility to manage everybody else's expectations. But there
right.
is an awareness that, when you do sever, end, or release something before you're moving into something else,
Yeah.
there is
Even if
going to
it's a
be
pattern or a change of
to
behavior.
dynamic shifts, but this is
Right.
all about coming into your self authority and your self trust, that knowing you are making the right and best decision with clarity. And so this is another piece here, is the liver, when it is so congested that it doesn't digest and release the things, there is a cloudedness around your decision making, and you can make irrational decisions because of that cloudiness. So, this is where, if we're doing this clearing, like think about Pisces being in flow, think about Pisces being the surrender. And I don't like that word. I'm not a big fan of surrender for multiple reasons, but I'm just saying, like, this is a thing that Pisces does encourage us to surrender to the process, that you cannot control everything. And for control freaks, that's very uncomfortable, right?
And as
So,
humans, we all have a little bit of that.
right. And our
Safety,
goal,
control it.
we're just looking at all of these things and saying, okay, well, if you're feeling this, there may be a reason that that is showing up more prominently right now. And you're hearing about all these relationships and challenges and people fighting to keep things the way they once were. And, a lot of violence happening to manage and maintain control. But there is also this breaking free and making new choices with clarity. And I always say clarity is queen. So the more clear we can be in our bodies, in our livers, in our lungs, and all the places, the easier and the faster decisions can come to you, where you feel less guilty
Oh,
about the
that's
decisions you're
another
making
Saturn word. Guilt, without guilt.
without guilt.
I know a lot of women carry that one. I know for the longest time, putting myself first, especially when my son was young, felt very guilty for doing that. And it was never, I realized too over the years, it was never like my husband or anybody like demanding things of me. It was the pressure
Oh,
I had put on me.
self-imposed. Yeah.
It was all self-imposed. And I'm realizing that more and more, that it's easy to say I'm responsible, I have all these things, but the real imposition being put on me, I am putting there out of this authority piece and this fear piece of what could happen if I did this without guilt, or if I took this step for myself, if I did this thing. And the fear of the consequence potentially of that would keep me stuck. And realizing with baby steps and the energy and the at our back now and the fire under our butts now is that women are kind of done with that. And I am coming from a place where I love that energy, but it's not about burning down everything you've built. It's about integrating this new sense of authority in a quiet, powerful way, an empowering way that isn't about breaking, isn't about burning down what you've built entirely or throwing the baby out with the bathwater. It's, can I integrate all this stuff in this new me in my life? Or are there things that have to go? Are the relationships that I have to mourn and let go of, or parts of myself that once protected me and kept me safe and comfortable are no longer comfortable because I'm growing and changing?
And there's grief that comes with that. And
And there's
that's what
grief
we're
that comes
trying to
with it.
address, is just, that there is some bodily things that needs to come along with it. You cannot think your way through this. And for a lot of women, they have this CLSG. This is like a little bit of a dysfunction we have where we cannot let shit go. And it sits up into this filing cabinet up here. And when you're constantly processing the things up here, but you have an inability to bring it down and in, all we're doing is moving it from this filing cabinet to this filing cabinet to this filing cabinet to this one. And we're like, we're not getting anywhere here. Well, yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
So we're like, I'm waking up at 4. I'm grieving the loss of a shift and a change because I know I'm moving forward. You can't, it's like I came up with this thought of moving through a lot of thought-based things and trying. So it's like, you have a lot of emotions going on, but you're trying to fix it up here. It's almost like trying to mop a floor with a calculator.
Mm-hmm.
It's impossible. Like, it's not that it's like right idea, wrong tool. So how do we get in and sop up some of that mess, the wet mess? And that is Saturn and Pisces. Like, this hot, wet mess is just like, oh my God. And now, Saturn is drying it off a little bit, but we're still in the swamp a little bit.
A little bit, a little bit. I mean, Saturn's like at those final degrees right now. And, Venus just moved into Pisces.
Yes.
And, I will say that I have Venus in Pisces as well. So there is this kind of like idealistic hope and of love
Romantic.
and romance, right? But she's going to be moving into a beautiful trine with Jupiter in Cancer. And I think that leaning into personal healing can also generate beautiful growth and healing within your relationships and those closest bonds.
It's going to bring in creative insights, but there's also this element of really needing to find, okay, well, what is more flow look like? So listen, we've been chatting for a while now. We're going to wrap this up.
Yeah, because
we can talk for hours.
But
let's wrap it up.
All the things. Yeah,
let's wrap it up. All the things, all the way. But listen, we just wanted to invite you, if this vibe, if this information, you're feeling something in your body that says, ooh, yes, I would really love to experience firsthand and getting individual touch points from us in ways that you can navigate this more powerfully, but with that quiet confidence, not this aggressive, raging power, which is it is definitely needed at times. But we're talking about how do we gently, help you integrate into this new energy, because we're going to be in it for 3 years.
Yep.
Right. So we're like, how do we help people usher them in to this new phase in a graceful and luscious way?
Yeah, Friday is the portal day. It's the step in. And right before that is when we want to discuss this and really, give some information, some intellectual context from the astrology, and then some real, somatic and embodiment pieces and biofield tuning that's just going to leave you kind of vibrating through this portal in a beautiful way that we'd love to, have you there for. Or if you want to, have the replay, you can, or just stay in our community, stick around and stay tuned for the next one, because like I said, this is going to be a journey and a ride, and we're going to take it together, and we want to share more with women who need this kind of support. So hopefully you'll join us.
Yes, join us. Thank you, everyone, for being here. We appreciate you, and we will see you either in this particular workshop or in the next thing.
Or maybe on our next live.